A huge welcome to my regular Thursday training. Welcome to LinkedIn, my Facebook, YouTube. And let's be honest, how many of us have spent hours every week creating content that never gets any eyeballs? I know that my homepage feed is of content from of businesses and large corporates alike that have taken time to uh, create content that just never gets eyeballs. And so this week we are talking about the 7 fundamental truths about LinkedIn content, and it's going to inform not only what you write, but how you write as well. Let me run through with you what we're going to be looking at. The missing link in your engagement, validating your content, optimizing for reach, navigating those changing algorithms, your only valuable metrics, how to win big, and creating your evergreen content. And I'm looking over here because I've got notes because I'm getting specific and I want to make sure that you guys have everything. If you can hear me, please give me a thumbs up, and if you can see me okay, that would be absolutely brilliant. And if we've not met before, I'm Jill Chitty. And because of my journey, I'm absolutely passionate about, and my mission and purpose is to help businesses who are stuck and static on LinkedIn to create a marketing machine that gives them momentum and generates leads so that they can sit back and enjoy life. And that's definitely the journey that I have been on in my 20 years of business. So, and if that sounds interesting, go and check out my profile on LinkedIn. Let's connect. Click the more button underneath my banner, and you'll see that we can connect properly there. So let's dive into this, and you're going to want to take some notes on this as we go. The we're fighting a losing battle when we measure the LinkedIn metrics as a measurement of our own metrics. LinkedIn wants eyeballs on your content. It wants to grab your attention. It wants time on the platform, and that's how you are rewarded. But actually, those metrics may not necessarily suit what we are doing in the what the results that we are wanting on the platform. So you get rewarded with those time, attention, and eyeballs. But do they bring in business? No, not necessarily. And if you are going for viral posts because you think that that's going to be the answer, and honestly, I get a lot of people asking me, how do I go viral? I don't think they're necessarily the metrics that are going to drive your business forward in a way. Usually only 1% of people on LinkedIn will ever viral, but also viral engagement is very surface level, and we're going to unpack this a lot more. And they're not necessarily going to be the type of demographic that you want to reach as future clients. So we can be constantly chasing these things that are never going to grow our business because we've been told that that's the way to go. And we're encouraged by LinkedIn to create as much content as we possibly can and get any likes, but actually it isn't the thing that's going to drive your traffic. But here's two things. Here's the secret that I stumbled upon, and it's really not a secret at all. You want to be intentional and you want to be relevant. So in terms of intentionality, okay, number, and for some reason it's losing connection again. Saying hi to me on Facebook. So I hope that the connection isn't getting too lost. But if I'm intentional on the number of leads that I want to generate, and I times that by 5, because that's the typical conversion rate, plus not everybody that you convert. I mean, I hope yours is high, and mine certainly is, but not everybody that you're going to convert is to work with you now. So you need to have people who are ready and waiting to work with you. And you build that momentum. So, you know, if you're intentional about the number of people that you want and who you want, you know, who's that ideal client, and what are the items and the content that you can share with, not that intelligence. It's been a long week. Then all you need to do is stay relevant to that particular demographic. It's that simple. And I work with clients all the time who show me what they do, and it is so complicated. And we've really reduced down what we do and simplified what we do. So you want to go after your who, writing content for that one. Yeah, I'm sorry, the connection is a little choppy. You might find it better on Facebook. I don't know why it is. Apologies for that. So going after that who and writing content specifically for them and being intentional about the number of leads that you want is incredibly powerful. What do they? If your specific brings in sales, if you go broad, you go broke. Is that one of the sayings? So we don't want to write for the masses. You know, when somebody says to me, "Oh, my service is great for everybody," yeah, absolutely great, but marketing your business that way is never going to serve you, because it won't be a specific message that people will get. So if you want the missing link in your engagement, then you need to really be relevant. And doesn't that make creating content so much simpler? It really does, because you can look at the themes in your business. You can look at what clients need to know. LinkedIn is a massive introduction plan. What do they need to know right from the start? What do they need to know about you so that they take another step with you? So being intentional and relevant is really going to help you in your marketing. Track that demographic rather than always chasing those viral views, which actually are, if you have a pyramid, they're just the top of the pyramid. And what we want is 2 levels down. We want the genuine connections and engagements, but we want the depth there. So that's number 1, the missing link in your content. Now, number 2 is validating your content. Good morning, Andy. Lovely to see you. So when we talk about validating content, one of, I'd almost say a pandemic, but I kind of don't want to use that word now with all that we've been through. But I think there's disease of people going onto LinkedIn, looking at the majorly big success platforms and influencers on here and thinking that's what it takes to win leads, grow your business, get attention on LinkedIn. And it isn't. And so what we see people doing is 11 posts a day on Facebook. I mean, if I did that, I wouldn't have time for anything else in my own. I wouldn't be able to serve our clients. So what we don't want to do is look at what the influencers is doing and copying them, because that works for their business. And you can never, marketing terms, you can never copy like for like and have it work for you. So I want you to start to express your authenticity. Share from your journey and what you've been through, because nobody else can copy that. Share the incredible difficult lessons that you've learned. And a lot of us serve clients who are way back on that journey that we once traveled, battled through, struggled with, it nearly broke us, but now we've come through the other side and we've got some results. So, it's not about doing a lot more, having a bigger network. I worked with a client and she had 100 people in her network, 100 people. So she didn't even have that sort of 500 badge. And she got her first client quite quickly out of just 100 people, because she showed up authentically, she showed up consistently, and we'll get to that. And she showed up with incredibly relevant and useful and timely information. So the best way to validate your content and to create engagement is to be authentically and uniquely you. And it isn't always easy to do when everybody else is doing something one way and you feel you want to do it another way. And so I want to encourage you today to do it that other way, because that's the way that you're going to win. People will start to recognize your style, your way of showing up, the cadences with which you work. So that's number two, validate your content by showing up authentically. Number three is optimizing for reach. Now, this is hugely important, because far too many of us are putting content out there and just hoping that it's going to get some traction. And actually, even if my content doesn't get traction, and I have found that reach has been up and down lately, I still get in a couple of clients a week because I've got all the right things in place. So here's some things that you really want to check off, so that you really understand the rules of optimizing for reach. Have you set up for the right industry? We probably all did that ages ago, years ago even, when we set up our LinkedIn profiles. You might have been in corporate and now you're in a different industry. Go back to your settings and check that, because we want to be in the right targeting settings. Are you really clear on your keywords? The keywords of what you talk about, of who you share it with, of the outcomes and the results that you get on within the work that you do. And have you got the right keywords? Have you, hashtags. Have you done the research? Do you know what keywords work? Have you got some small niche keywords and some slightly larger keywords? Because keywords are the way, hashtags, sorry, I'm confusing myself. Hashtags are the way that LinkedIn categorizes your content. It's a way that those internal communications sort out how, what you're talking about and who you're talking to. So if you want LinkedIn to push your content out more, you've got to give them a fighting chance of understanding what it is that you're about. And I commented on a post this morning, which was very timely, about engagement pods. And this is why I am hugely against engagement pods, because we don't have a huge amount of control over how LinkedIn is run. It's not our platform, it's theirs, and it's a money-making machine. But what we can do is inform LinkedIn by our keywords, by our hashtags, of who we're serving, what the outcome is, what the subjects are that we are talking about, and do that consistently. Now, pods, if you're in an engagement pod, I'm sorry, but you're shooting yourself in the foot, because everybody that engages in your content is a clue to the LinkedIn algorithms, and it will push out those internal marketing systems. It will push your content out to more of the people who are liking your content. So if not everybody in that pod is a potential client, your content is going out to people who have no interest, and reaching people that have no interest in your service. Likewise, when we were all going crazy over polls, the first poll that I did, it got 80,000 views. It got thousands of votes, hundreds of comments. But here's what I realized is there was 3 tiers in this. There was the people that were clicking on it because it was fun, it was new. They were superficial connections who probably wouldn't engage in the kind of content that I really want my future clients to see and understand. And they wouldn't engage, and it wouldn't be relevant to them. There were another layer, the next level down, who were people in my potential market, but possibly would never become clients of mine. So they were interested in my theme. They would engage. But the next theme, which is the depth theme, the real very best clients for me, they probably wouldn't engage in this style of content. But what I then have is I'm giving the algorithms a sign, oh, this piece of content has really gone well. So what we want to do now is show Jill's content to this kind of demographic and ignore all this other information, because this has far exceeded what she's been doing. And so the algorithms could potentially shift who I'm aiming at to a totally wrong audience. And exactly the same can happen with viral content. So I spoke to a young girl who had had a viral post. It was a pretty picture of her with a short dress on, and she was talking about her business. But what happened was she got engagement because people liked the image and they liked the story, but they weren't her targeted audience. And so what happened after that viral post is everything dropped. And essentially, she had to start building up again. I'm glad that you're with me. You don't like engagement pods. And also, you're spending time building somebody else's content up and growing somebody else's business and paying to do that. So I think it's almost criminal, but I'm not going to use that word. So what we want is to really think long term. Who do we want to reach? It's those regular clients, and if you keep going over those again and again and again, if you keep serving LinkedIn that content again and again and again, you're gonna win. Now, number 4 kind of comes off the back of that, navigating the algorithm changes, the changing algorithms. We think that we have just got all the things sorted, and what do? They go and change all the things. So we get into a routine, they change it, and it throws us into a tailspin. And we've got zero control over that. And let's face it, between you and me, over the years, LinkedIn has tried some stuff, and I love them for trying, but they've tried some stuff that's not particularly worked. So, we had stories quite a few years ago that never got off the ground, and it's really easy to, stories, squirrel, 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 and go and try that, put your energy into that, only to find, 18 months later, they knock those on the head. It's the same with the whole audio sort of Clubhouse type thing on LinkedIn. I don't see anybody talking about that. And maybe eventually they will stop all of that. So I want to encourage you to stay in your lane because you know what works, and to stick with that cadence, because over time you will win. So don't get bamboozled by all these new things. If your LinkedIn is working, unless these new things really suit your audience, then don't chase them. But what you need to know is, are my audience auditory? Is that what they like? And go for creating content and communicating through that. Do they like to read little blocks of content, tiny little blocks, boom, and we're done. But what they get from that means it enables them to take the next step with you. So you can only do this. There's no easy way, by testing and testing and testing. And it's what I share with my clients, my private clients, my membership clients all the time, is if you found something that you work, just keep improving it, make it better, stay in your lane. Because if you start to shift, if you run off to that new shiny thing, I mean, there's no point in looking into it, but if you run shiny, it's going to imbalance the sort of format that you've already created on LinkedIn that's working. Okay. Oh, really running out of time here. So your valuable metrics, number 5. The one thing that's bogged me down over the years is looking at how much engagement I've got on a piece of content. Like, give me a hands up or an amen if this is you. I would keep going on to LinkedIn and go, oh gosh, I didn't expect that post to do that well. Or it would be, oh bugger, that was a really good piece of content. Why hasn't that got engagement? And of course, it's not up to me how LinkedIn push out in their internal comms and systems, how they push out my content, if I don't have all of the things that we've talked about in place. And, I have to say, over the years, my views and my engagement has certainly gone down. And it was typical for me to get 80,000 views of a piece of content. Now it's considered viral if it goes over 100. Is it over 100,000? Maybe over 1 million views. I think it's considered viral. And I can't control that. So if I'm looking at LinkedIn's metrics, I'm always going to feel I'm lacking. So I have to choose my own valuable metrics. And these are the things that I manage and log as my useful metrics. Number 1 is comments, because they're something that I can do something with. Comments are a conversation starter, or they're continuing the conversation that I've started on LinkedIn. And we can go somewhere with comments. There's an uplift. They're clues for me that people are potentially in the arena for learning more about what I'm talking about. Profile views. How are your profile views at the moment? That figure that shows on your dashboard in your profile is over 90 days. So it might be that just 2 or 3 people every week are looking at your profile. So you need to work backwards. What am I doing in my content that's not making people look at my profile? And profile views are people that are checking you out. That means there's considerable interest. And of course, your profile should be positioned as someone that understands them and gives them the opportunity to take the next step. So it's a stepping stone, the profile. So those are the metrics for me that are really important. And then finally, inbox messaging. If people have taken the time to message me about a piece of content, about one of my programs, or they've heard something from somebody and they're checking me out, that's a really good metric. And then, of course, the big one is results and clients. And, we get a couple of new clients at least every week. So those are I really suggest that those are the metrics that you check out as the ones that you want to improve. And then you can work back and look at what you're doing. Look at your intentionality. Look at whether you're relevant to that audience that you're really focusing on. Look at if you're being authentic, if you're sharing value. All right, we're coming down. Number 6. Thank you for staying with me. How to win big. Now, I think this comes up every single training that I do. How to win big, I say this: consistency. It matters hugely. It's free. It doesn't cost to be consistent. Now, you might need to look at your schedule, look at what's going on in your head, how you're managing your time, what tools you're using, and how you're allowing yourself to be distracted to stay consistent. But you're going to build your muscle on LinkedIn over time by being consistent. This isn't the sexy one to be listening to, but I've been on LinkedIn for well over 10 years, and the last 6 or 7 years I have been consistent. And there's been a correlation with our business growth over that time. So I think it speaks for itself. So being consistent is probably worth way more than than paying for advertising, than going viral, than having a lot of people engaging in your content, because you're showing up consistently, and it's a forerunner of how you're going to do business with people. It really, really is. Now, the other thing is you start to build raving fans, people that hit the bell on your profile. They get notified of content as you publish it. You can build ambassadors, people that talk about you. On LinkedIn, I don't think a day goes by without somebody saying, I'm looking for a website developer. I'm looking for an expert in this or that. And your network has the chance to promote you and share with you or not. So, consistency will do that for you. Also, you can build great partnerships with people on LinkedIn. I have some fantastic partnerships that have come out of me showing up regularly, people engaging in my content. I engage back with theirs. We have a conversation in the inbox. We jump online and have a coffee, and then we promote each other's content. We share and support it, and we suggest them. So, what's not to love about showing up consistently? And I've made tons of friends on here. That's a beautiful byproduct. And if you're consistent, your content is far more available for the LinkedIn internal marketing systems to push out. Remember, if you're on here showing up consistently with content, you're going to be on here consistently showing up having conversations. Conversations are the starter to every sale, and that's what you're after. You want to introduce yourself to as many new people as possible, but you also want to have those conversations. And now finally, and one of my favorites, is creating evergreen content. Now, who has an endless amount of time? Give me a hands up or a hell no in the comments. Who has an endless amount of time to be creating endless content? Nobody. Absolutely nobody. So we want to start thinking about evergreen content, that timeless content that shows a side of us and our businesses. I get you. Shows a side of us and our businesses that we can repurpose again and again and again. And in my business, we call it hero content. and we test it a few times to know whether it really is evergreen. And it's that content that will share some of my values, that will give an insight into what it's like to be a client, what it's like to be on one of our programs, what my thinking and my processes are like. So you kind of know what you're going to get when you become a client. It's the kind of content that doesn't attract those viral clickers who come and go, but it attracts the second band. So those genuinely interested in my industry and those in-depth comments and engagement of people who are genuinely interested in working with me. And once you've got some evergreen content, every quarter you can repurpose it. And why can you repurpose it? Because A, people don't remember what you've posted. B, your internal marketing or the LinkedIn internal marketing systems aren't pushing it out to your content out to everybody in your network. And people forget. People forget what you've written. So you then get into a position where content starts to become so much easier, and you can then start to look at, how can I start to improve this? How can I can spend time looking at some of these analytics and what's working really well, and maybe how we can do more of what's working really well. So it means that it's really targeted to your who. You can create really relevant content again and again and again. It's optimized because we've optimized it with keywords for search, for hashtags. We know who we're speaking to, and you're not wasting all of that time. And you know what? When we moved into creating hero content and having those evergreen posts, LinkedIn just became so much more enjoyable. So think in terms of those hero posts, posts that really speak loudly about the brilliant thing that you do. So I have thrown a lot at you today. Let me just recap what we've shared. The missing link in your engagement, validating your content, optimizing content for reach and beyond. And one of the key things that I didn't mention there is, as soon as you can, get people off LinkedIn. We have multiple ways that we do that every week, because we don't own LinkedIn. And at any one time, as we know, any of these platforms can just disappear or stop working for 24 hours. And we want to keep building our list and relationship with people. So optimize for reach, get it off LinkedIn, navigating the changing algorithms, the only valuable metrics that you should be looking at. Yeah, wear them, my friend, wear them. How to win big with your content and creating your evergreen content so that you're speaking loudly and intentionally to your market. My friends, I hope that this has been useful. If it has, please comment and share, because that's my love language. And join me next week, when we're going to be sharing another side of LinkedIn that will give you some huge insights. And if we're not connected on LinkedIn already, please come over to my profile and ask to connect. Huge love to you guys. Enjoy the rest of your day. And tons of, oh yes, and Juan, I find that people are passive on LinkedIn. Very little interaction. Well, there is a lot of interaction to be had, but I tell you what, almost 60% of my clients that I get don't engage, but they're watching, Juan. They are watching. And so it's important what you do. Tons of love to you. Take care for now.